If you moved to the Raleigh, North Carolina area 5 years ago, you probably think you got here at the perfect time. And if you're thinking of moving here now, you're probably worried, did I miss out? Am I too late? Here's what most people just don't even begin to realize. The biggest change in the Raleigh, North Carolina area isn't behind us. The biggest change is what's happening next, because Raleigh isn't just growing, it's reorganizing. And in the next few years, it's gonna feel like the triangle is turned into a totally different game. This video is not gonna be some vague market update video. We're gonna tell you about how the Raleigh, North Carolina housing market is about to change in ways that you absolutely will be able to feel. So exactly what's been happening? Well, Raleigh, North Carolina has been showing up over the last few years on the best places to live lists from different publications and magazines all over. And this is very similar to what you're seeing in other size cities similar to us, like Tampa, Nashville, and Austin, Texas. The big difference is these cities have undergone a transformation that's just now starting to happen in the Raleigh area. Not many years ago, the buzz was all around Austin, Texas. You could move there for a relatively cheap price, especially if you were coming from California or New York. You could get a really nice home in Austin for not such a huge price. And then all of a sudden that changed, where yes, housing is still cheaper in Austin than in many other cities, but that difference has really shrunk quite a bit. Basically, prices have shot up so much in Austin and in other cities like Nashville, Tennessee, that people are no longer moving there for a deal. And now Raleigh's sort of starting to get the same effect. 5 years ago, people would reach out to us from our YouTube channel here wanting to move to Raleigh. And they always said, we want to move because it costs so much to live in XYZville where we currently live. We want to move to Raleigh to get a deal, to get a bigger house, nicer lot, without having to pay what we're paying now. They moved to Raleigh because of the value. They didn't move to Raleigh necessarily for any other reason than that. Fast forward to today, and yes, cheaper housing is still a thing here. It is definitely much less expensive to buy even the nicest house in Raleigh, North Carolina versus what you would see in Los Angeles, San Francisco, etc. But now we're no longer hearing from people that they want to come here for a deal. They want to come here for a job opportunity or a nice place to raise a family or a good quality of life. So with all that being said, where are we now? Well, first off, it goes without saying that Raleigh, North Carolina is no longer the city it was 5 years ago. Size-wise, we've definitely made a change. Now, we're a larger metro that's made up of about 25 different distinct cities and towns. Population has increased as well, going from about 1.85 million 5 or 6 years ago to about 2.3 million now. And of course, this population boom shows no signs of slowing down. And in fact, by 2040, it's expected that the triangle will have over 3 million residents. And now, cities that used to not even be considered part of the triangle, the Raleigh region, are now definitely part of it. I'm thinking like Angier and Zebulon. If 5-10 years ago you would have said to me, hey, I want to live in Angier or Zebulon, I would have thought you were crazy. Why would you want to move that far out? In other words, the definition of the Raleigh Metro or the Triangle has dramatically expanded. Amenity-wise, we definitely have changed in that regard too. We now have big city amenities here in the Raleigh area. Just 5 years ago or so, most of what you would see in our area were indoor malls, the basic kind of mall you'd see just about anywhere. But in the last 5 or 10 years, we've really seen an explosion where now Raleigh has more of a prominent city feel to it. And of course, as longtime viewers of this channel know, North Hills Mall has absolutely led the pack in that regard. Back in the early 2000s, up to about 2010, North Hills was just a sleepy little mall that everyone kind of forgot about and overlooked. It wasn't until the Kane Realty Corporation came in, bought the whole thing, and completely revitalized it to become the mega destination it is now. Literally a nationwide award-winning destination. And it's really changed the whole landscape of what Raleigh is like and that whole Midtown area is like. It basically now feels like Raleigh's second downtown. And then, of course, Fenton in Cary came online a couple of years ago and sort of took the template that North Hills had provided and ran with it, making Fenton an absolute destination in Cary. It's at the point As we've said on a recent video talking about the slowdown that's going on in downtown Raleigh, it's at the point now where a lot of people in Cary no longer go into downtown Raleigh. They have Fenton, and we must confess, living in Wake Forest, we go to Fenton as well. They have some amazing restaurants, great movie theater, great shopping, really, really great destination, and definitely has helped revitalize. If Cary needed revitalizing, it's definitely helped revitalize Cary over the last couple years. And the Raleigh-Durham Triangle area has definitely grown into having an international presence about it. People are moving here from not only all over the country, but all over the world. It's made a dramatic impact in the culture and what you experience here in the area. Latin American grocery stores, Asian grocery stores, and Indian grocery stores have sprouted up just about everywhere. And of course, you can't beat the variety of cuisine we have currently in our area. It's amazing. We've actually had quite a few people reach out to us from our YouTube channel here from all over the world. We've helped people relocate from South Africa, Europe, Asia, and of course, South America, as well as 49 of the 50 US states. And wherever you're moving from, if you're moving to the Raleigh area, give us a call or text at the info below. We'll be happy to help you out as well. And if you're moving here from out of the area, then certainly all of the amenities we can provide now, the diversity of cuisine and grocery stores, et cetera, is definitely going to play a big factor into the quality of life that you're going to experience here. All this leads to the excitement and the growth and the dramatic change that we are experiencing right this minute in the Raleigh metro area. As we said, Raleigh isn't just growing, it's absolutely transforming. And the types of homes that are being built are changing as well. And where those homes are being built is changing as well. Areas that a lot of people coming into the Raleigh, North Carolina region, areas that people used to typically ignore are now becoming absolute destination places that a lot of people want to move to. And areas that used to be hot in our market are now not so much. And the amenities we're seeing in new construction neighborhoods are becoming more and more outlandish. And unfortunately, prices are going up and up and up. All this while our population is going up and up and up as well and becoming more diverse. So let's get into some of the changes that are happening. Well, back just a few years ago, Raleigh, North Carolina was pretty centralized. You were looking at Raleigh, Cary, Durham, Chapel Hill, the Triangle. But now all that has shifted. We're getting so many calls from our YouTube viewers wanting to live in other cities. We're hearing names like Wake Forest, North Carolina, Wendell, Rolesville, Apex, Fuquay-Varina, and of course, Pittsburgh. These were not cities that people asked for 10 years ago. And I really attribute this to the fact that a lot of the big cities are now pretty much built out. And so now, of course, builders are concentrating on building in some of the suburbs like Wake Forest and Pittsburgh and Fuquay-Varina and Apex. And of course, Garner, Roseville, and Clayton. So of course, when people want new construction, they're having to look at some of these outer suburbs. And even cities that are further out like Andrew and Zebulon that we talked about earlier, and Youngsville and Franklinton as well. And of course, so all of this new construction that's been happening in sort of the outer bands has really affected how we're helping clients find homes. We had a family reach out to us just last week from here on YouTube wanting to buy new construction in Cary. And we had to unfortunately break the news to them that in their price range, there just wasn't anything hardly at all in Cary. I think looking, if I recall back correctly, looking in both Cary and Apex in their price range, we were finding one home. So it wasn't like there's a cornucopia and a lot of variety in bigger cities of the Triangle. So we had to recommend looking at nearby Holly Springs, Fuquay-Varina, Knightdale, Clayton, Garner, that sort of area, that sort of next outer band out for options for them as far as new construction goes. And this family was not unique. A lot of people are looking for new construction, and when they can't find it in the big cities of Raleigh, Cary, Chapel Hill, Durham, they're looking out again into some of the outer bands. And one of the things that really attracts them to the new construction in our area is that a lot of the planned communities are doing some massive amenity packages. The playgrounds and the swimming pools and the walking trails, all that sort of thing. That's a huge advantage to people versus living in a traditional street, versus living on a regular street in Raleigh, Cary, etc., where you don't really have those amenities. You have the neighbors, but you don't have the amenities. And so what we're starting to see happen is the areas with that amenity package are starting to see see stronger appreciation than a downtown area where you're just getting in the street and you're having to maybe pay to join a pool club as opposed to it being part of your HOA neighborhood community. A great example of this is some of the older communities in Wake Forest and in North Raleigh that don't have the amenity package. It's becoming a little bit more difficult to sell those houses. They take a little bit longer to sell. They're a little bit older. And again, the neighborhoods don't have those amenities. And that's something that people, again, are looking for. And with all that, the type of homes being built in the Raleigh region is changing as well. As far as Raleigh itself goes, you can get some single family homes, but unfortunately, most of the single family homes being built right now are in the $1.5 million on up, $2.5 million and on up price range. A lot of the homes that are being built for the first-time home buyers or second-time home buyers are townhomes. These are able to be built on a smaller lot. You're able to get more homes on the lot, and the builder is able to diversify out and average out the cost of that land. That's what we're seeing happening in Raleigh and Cary to a large extent. In Durham, we're also seeing sort of like narrow homes being built on narrow lots, sort of a shotgun home or high-rise condos in downtown Durham we're seeing. And of course, Chapel Hill has very little growth going on as far as new construction. It's a little bit happening on the outsides of the cities, which is, of course, one of the major factors of why prices are so high in Chapel Hill. And so, of course, the result of all this is someone who wants a larger house on a larger lot and not have to pay an arm and leg for it are having to go out beyond downtown Durham, downtown Raleigh, downtown Cary. It's getting to the point now that the big four cities are getting to be old news. The buzz is all around the cities with the newer construction. And as we said, amenities that were once rare are now expected and demanded. Back in 2005, Bedford at Falls River, when I bought in that neighborhood, had an activities director, sidewalks, tennis, a swimming pool with a water slide for the kiddos. It had a lot of really great amenities, and this was rare back in the day. Now, all of that is absolutely expected. And on top of that, buyers are expecting nature trails and splash pads and pickleball courts and pocket parks and even dog parks right there in the neighborhood. Even outdoor fitness setups and in the clubhouse gyms have become a norm and absolutely expected. So as you can imagine, these older neighborhoods that don't have these amenities are the ones that we're talking about that are old news. And even though prices have continue to go up and up and up in our market, a lot of people think prices here have peaked, which is of course the same thing that they were saying about Austin and Nashville, which both have higher average home costs than we do here in the Raleigh area. As I said, prices have dramatically increased over the last few years. Back just 5, 7, 10 years ago, a starter home in Raleigh, North Carolina was $125,000. Now, expect to pay about $350,000 for that starter home. And luxury homes in our market back then were $1 million, $1.5 million. Now today, a luxury home is around $3.5 million and on up. I can remember back when Avalair, which is a high-end luxury neighborhood off of Durant Road, came online probably 7, 8 years ago. I may be dating myself. The model of that home was $3 million. This was back when $1 million, $1.5 million was the norm. I was shocked. I did not have any thought that the builder was ever going to be able to get that home sold. Not only did it sell quickly, it's resold since then for an even higher dollar. So amazes me what prices are doing in our market and where they're continuing to go. And yes, I know there's a lot of critics out there who are saying we're in a bubble. We're going to have a crash, a market correction. Well, they've been saying that since we started this channel 5.5 years ago. And as I always say, you cannot fall down if you're lying face down on the ground. Meaning, if you don't have the inventory to crash with, you're not going to have a crash. And we do not have the available inventory that's going to cause that kind of a disruption. Bottom line, it appears we still have room to grow in our market and have prices continuing to go up. So at this point, I think it would be a good idea for me to pull out my crystal ball and tell you where we think the Raleigh market is headed, and also give you a glimpse at some of the mega neighborhoods we've been talking about on this video that are really shaping that growth. But before we do, I know this can sound super confusing, and frankly, I get it. Buying a home in the Raleigh, North Carolina area used to be pretty easy, and it's not that way anymore. We actually get people calling us every day after watching our YouTube channel, wanting our help to navigate and guide them through this process. And if you would like our help as well, you can definitely contact us at the information below. We'll be happy to help you out. My team and I are experts at guiding people through the process of moving from out of the Raleigh area and around the Raleigh area to find their dream home. We'll be happy to help you out as well. So as we said, where do we think this market is headed? Well, most certainly we think the population is going to continue to grow as people from California and Florida and New Jersey, New York, et cetera, are continuing to move here for job opportunities or for improved quality of life. This will continue to drive housing demand and, of course, unfortunately continue to drive housing prices higher and higher. The suburban areas will continue to absorb most of that growth, those outer band cities we talked about earlier. And rising land prices in especially the bigger cities like Raleigh, Cary, etc., will continue to drive starter home builders further and further out to build those starter homes. And the land that's left over in the Raleigh and Cary cities will mainly be reserved for higher end homes, unfortunately, which of course will mean buyers of those starter homes will have longer and longer commutes, having to live further out from downtown Raleigh, say, and the people who do live in a newer home in Raleigh, Cary, etc., will likely be living in a townhome. Because as we said, less expensive for builders to build multiple townhomes on a single piece of land versus building a single family home on that same piece of land. And we further predict people will continue coming in from all over the world here, adding their culture to the Raleigh metro culture, and they will find plenty of shops and restaurants very similar to what they would find in their home country. And this is all being driven by our booming tech scene. The Interstate 540 loop completion is also going to make a dramatic change to our market in that people will be able to live on the further outskirts of the region and still be able to get to Raleigh or Research Triangle Park or the RDU airport relatively quickly thanks to the Interstate Outer Loop. We're also going to see Raleigh get more and more dense as most of the growth is going to be concentrated, as we said earlier, on the outer bands where there's available land for builders and developers to build and develop new neighborhoods. And of course, mega neighborhoods with mega amenities like Chatham Park, Ponder, and Viridia will become the norm. And we actually filmed a video on the 6 Raleigh suburbs we think are going to absolutely explode over the next few years. These suburbs is where a lot of the growth is happening, and these are some of the areas where you're really going to see the Raleigh housing landscape absolutely transform. Click here to watch that video next so you will learn not only what growth is happening, but where that growth is going to be happening next. And as always, like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.